You're listening to an Anderson Entertainment production.
This episode,
we're seeking peace through understanding in FAB Facts.
We're visiting a nightmare world of hellish creatures in the Randomiser.
and it's PWOR for part 2 of our interview with David Mather.
What a mouthful. That's all coming up in pod 2 for 1.
You speak for yourself of the Gerry Anderson Podcast.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's get started. Let's go.
Spectrum is green.
The Gerry Anderson Podcast with Jamie Anderson and Richard James.
Yes, happy 2 for 1 day.
2 for 1. I see.
You see
2
what?
for 1.
Yeah.
Oh, that doesn't mean we have to record 2 podcasts this week.
Well, we won't be putting 2 out this week, that's
No.
for sure.
Right, fair enough.
yeah, since it's the Gerry Anderson Podcast, you do get 2 for the price of 1. That's me, Jamie Anderson.
And me, Richard James.
Yes,
Yeah,
and
true.
also a bonus contestant.
Bog off.
Yes,
can't be
an
right.
additional bog off. It's Chris Dale, the Randomiser, who will be here later on with his Randomiser.
Yeah, look forward to that.
It's a top-notch bit of entertainment, that is. So top-notch, in fact,
Yeah.
that it has its own podcast.
Yeah.
So if you're here thinking, yeah, get on with it, you two, I want to hear the Randomiser, then, well, you can go away and listen to the Randomiser podcast. Just search Gerry Anderson Randomiser on your podcast app of choice and go and subscribe to that. It's many randomizers behind this one, but it does produce a new randomiser every week, and you can listen to it without all the fluff and gubbins that Richard and I produce.
Well, there we are. I have to say, I'm quite glad that the Randomiser is so good because it gives us, we don't have to raise our expectations quite so high, do we?
Exactly, we can sit back and
We do.
relax.
That's right. Tread
just
water.
Chat nonsense.
In the knowledge that something amazing is coming at the end of the podcast.
Exactly. So it's 90% filler, 10% thriller at the very end of. Is that a?
God, you've got it all today, haven't you?
No, I definitely don't have it all.
Have you been pitching again?
It is that time of year in TV land, so you could well be right. In fact, I was in at a quite a famous, well-known, big-name studio pitching.
Were you now?
Yeah, just
Right.
last week. Very exciting.
Good, good.
And they brought us very nice coffee, so that was,
Oh.
that's always a good sign, isn't
And a
it?
biscuit, I hope.
No
You think
biscuit.
Pastries?
No pastry. No.
Wow.
Oh, well, now you said that, I feel like we've maybe
hang on a
not
minute.
done as well as I thought.
Yeah.
Anyway, as well as me lamenting my lack of pastries, there are loads of other bits of filler in this podcast. So, Richard, can you try and make the filler sound exciting?
Well, that's very rude, really, when you consider that some of the filler, at least, will be our lovely podstrons, our
They're
listeners
not
at home.
filler. They're written in. That's different. I'm talking about the filler
Exactly.
that you and I generate.
Yeah, okay. You mean things like FAB Facts, which will be up in just a moment, whereby
Yes.
Jamie flicks through a book of FAB Facts, I shout FAB, he stops on a random page and reads out the fact that is therein contained, upon which we comment and laugh and or sound
Hang on.
bored and yawn.
That's,
Then we
that's the bit that I normally say in full. I don't have to say anything in
then
FAB
you don't have
Facts
to say
now.
it. Then we have the Gerry Anderson news, of course, because there's always something new happening in the Gerry Anderson universe. We'll be bringing you all the latest updates from, merchandise and productions and books and audio, probably, all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, sounds
See,
fair.
then we've got part 2, I think, of your interview with David Mather.
Correct.
Yeah, look forward to that. Excited lots of comment last week about the Corgi Stingray.
Yes.
Should I say toy? Is that right?
I
don't
think
want to...
collectible sounds
Okay,
better, doesn't it?
Great, excellent. And then, of course, the randomiser at the end, but in, above, and around, and beneath all of that, our lovely podstrons have been emailing us at podcast@gerryanderson.com. They've been posting on our Facebook group at facebook.com/groups/podstrons, and they've been hashtagging us on Twitter, Gerry Anderson Podcast, tagging me, Richard N. James, him over there, I'm Jamie Anderson, and him over there, standing by the big red button, Chris Dalek, and they've been commenting on our YouTube channel too. I should be reading out all of those comments for your delight.
Goodness me.
Wow. I mean, it's a bumper edition.
I mean, we shouldn't be that surprised, really, should we?
What, that people are still emailing in? I'm surprised.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
They've still got things to say.
It's absolutely amazing. We're very, very grateful. Now, I'm just... bear with me 1 second.
We're ordering your groceries or something?
Domino's Pizza. No, I'm not. But if anyone from Domino's is listening and they'd like to sponsor the podcast... No. What I'm doing is, because every week we say, oh, we'd love it if you'd leave us a rating and review the podcast and all that sort of stuff.
We do say that, yes.
I think it's got to the point where people are actually... They just forget and they kind of tune it out because we say it the same way every week.
Yeah, right. Okay.
So this week I thought I would give you a stat.
Oh, yeah.
So the stat is that in all the time the podcast has been available, of all the unique listeners that have listened to this podcast,
right? Wow.
Guess what percentage of those listeners have left a review?
Very low. I mean, I know as a writer, apparently when you write books, it's expected that only 1%, 1 in every 100 readers would leave a review. Okay. So I suspect it's probably going to be around that kind of mark. I'll say 2%.
Well, I'm afraid you're out by a factor of 10. 0.239% of our listeners have left a review.
Well, I mean... But we ask every week.
I know, but I think it's because we say the same thing. We've created white noise over this. So, Podstrons.
Well, as with much of the podcast, yes.
to the 0.239% of you who've left a review, we're extremely grateful.
Thank you.
To the 99.7 whatever percent it is of you who haven't, we would just place this plea for a moment that please would you consider leaving us a review. It does make an enormous difference, you see, because when people come along and they go, is this thing any good, the more reviews the better. And it's not just it needs to go beyond just pressing the star thing. It's just writing a couple of lines. So I mean, shall we let them do that one? We'll just wait for a second while we
you go tie up the dogs because they're
you can hear Eric moving around. Eric, get in your bed. We're just waiting for the Podstrons to write reviews. So
that's right.
Come on, lie down.
Actually, as you've mentioned it now, Jamie, we don't need to mention it again this week. And if you promise to write that review now, Podstrons, I tell you what, we won't mention it next week.
Are you holding them to ransom?
No, not really. In a gentle way.
All right, well, let's wait for that percentage figure to come down. But in the meantime, let's inspire them to write something amazing in the reviews by delivering them, perhaps, it could be, I don't know, because it's random, I suppose, but it might be the most fantastic ever FAB Fact.
Yeah, good luck with that.
Now, time for this week's FAB Facts.
Yes, indeed. Now, Richard, you've already taken my thunder or... done a wee on my cornflakes or whatever the phrase is, haven't you?
I did that as well, yes, that was me.
That's very rude of you.
That was Eric, that was the dog.
Oh, probably the dog, yeah. So, I'm not going to explain what we're doing here, but...
No, you don't need to.
Are you ready to shout Fab?
Yeah, go on.
Okay, here's the book.
Fab!
Oh, very good. Stopped us nice and early.
Yes, I did.
Eric the dog is extremely attentive to this one, because I think he knows that we've gone across the pond and back in time. He's shaking with excitement. Yes, Eric and Richard and Podstrons, we are off to the 1964 World's Fair in New York.
Oh, that sounds lovely.
It does, doesn't it? So sit back and enjoy this time-travelling ride across the pond. The New York World's Fair in 64 promoted itself as a universal and international event with the theme of Peace Through Understanding.
Oh, I like it.
Isn't that nice?
Yeah.
It primarily celebrated the advances of industry, science, and technology from all around the world, but particularly, obviously, the United States. Companies with displays at the event included IBM, Bell, Ford, and General Motors, while even the legendary Walt Disney got involved with the fair, with several displays utilising his pioneering animatronic technology. So, if you've ever been to a Disney park and had a ride on the It's a Small World...
Oh, God, yes.
Until the song makes your ears bleed, you can thank the 1964 World's Fair since that was the event where it was originally created for. Interesting. Right. That's not the Fab Fact, though.
Oh.
One of the most popular rides at the fair was the General Motors Corporation Futurama 2. As you may guess, this was the successor to the company's original... Futurama display, previously seen at the same fair in 1939. Now, Futurama 2 took its passengers on a journey into tomorrow. That's the tagline. it went past model displays showing all of the moon colonies and underwater cities and space stations that all the visitors could expect to be living in by the 21st century, obviously, as we all are now.
Yes.
And this all culminated in a large and impressive working model showing the city of tomorrow. That fair ran for a whole year from October 64 to October 65. And meanwhile, back in the UK in May 1965, the team at TV Century 21 Comic were in need of a cover photo for issue number 19.
Right.
Now, ordinarily, they would, as you know, use publicity photos or even specially posed photos featuring models from Fireball XL5 and Stingray, etc. But issue 19's cover, reporting on the famous XL5 storyline, The Astron Assassination, needed a photo of a futuristic city to represent the world capital of Unity City as seen in the comic strip. However, without having a suitable model to lift from an Anderson show, they instead resorted to using a picture of the futuristic city from the Futurama 2 ride. Obviously that makes sense since it looked the part, and very few people in the UK would have had any idea where it actually came from.
Sure.
Now, while we are absolutely certain that many talented artists who worked on TV21 would have had no trouble at all drawing futuristic cities, that picture of the City of Tomorrow from the 64 World's Fair essentially set the template for how futuristic cities would look in that comic going forward.
Yeah.
So that city photo appeared again on the cover issue of 119. Sorry, I'll say that again. So that city photo appeared again on the cover of issue 119, so 100 issues later. And the comic's idea of a world capital may even have inspired the Captain Scarlet episode Treble Cross, in which the Mysterons threaten to destroy the world capital. Although in that episode the world capital was called Futura City rather than Unity City. But come on, Futurama, Futura, I mean...
Yes.
Seems
not a great leap, is it?
No. Now, you might think that the story of Futurama 2 city model being used as Unity City would have ended with the demise of both the fair and the comic. But no. In issue 19 of Thunderbirds the comic, published in the UK in 1992, in June of that year, the centre spread pull-out cutaway diagram drawn by Graham Bleethman was of Unity City. Graham's artwork, of course, followed the original Futurama 2 model in precise detail and was drawn from pretty much the same angle as the photo that had appeared in TV21 back in the 1960s. So, decades after it had first wowed visitors in the World's Fair in 1964, the space-age City of Tomorrow was still providing inspiration to young Thunderbirds fans in a way that people who originally built it could probably never have imagined.
Amazing.
There you go. But they were probably hoping it was actually would come true rather than be in a cutaway in a Thunderbirds comic in 1992.
I know,
but there we go.
That's right. So, I often wonder what happened then. I feel like we were betrayed, my generation, the generation immediately before me, because we were promised underwater cities and space stations and jet cars and all that sort of stuff. It could have happened, couldn't it? Why didn't it?
Well, I think it is sort of happening in bits and pieces, just not in the same... I mean, you've got the International Space Station. Yeah, you're not living there yet. That's fine, but it's a stepping stone, isn't it? There's definitely a hotel I've seen that's got some kind of rooms underwater. So there's something sort of there. There's the guy who's put the micro jet engines on his arms and his back and flies around. So there's kind of jetpacks and that kind of thing. I've seen the testing of a car that turns into a plane recently.
Right, okay.
So I feel like,
Actually, I mean, you did say it's quite, the 21st century. Well, that's 100 years, so we're still only 23 years into it.
Yeah, we've got a little way to go.
We have,
so, and also, science fiction's there to entertain us, but also to inspire. It's not to guarantee the future.
No, that's true. No, fair enough.
So, but it's still pretty cool. Now, hopefully in the show notes of the podcast and in the description of the YouTube video of this Fab Facts, you'll find a link to the 64 to 65 Futurama ride on YouTube, so you can have a look at it for yourself.
Great. Yeah, fascinating.
Yeah, there you go. So I wonder what other futuristic visions in other media have inspired things directly in Anderson shows or Anderson comics. I mean, we know that the moving of the Japanese shopping centre in the early 60s across the street was one of the inspiring things for Terror in New York City with the moving of the Empire State Building. And there's lots of little bits and pieces like that.
Yeah.
But Podsterons, if you know of anything else where there seems to be a direct link or a direct inspiration from either real life or futuristic visions or futurists elsewhere in the world that have appeared in Anderson shows or comics or anything else, do let us know. podcast@gerryanderson.com.
Nice.
There you go. Well, I think that'll probably do, won't it?
Yeah, I think so.
Good. Well, then that brings us to the end of this week's
Future Fact! Hey!
Had to be Future Fact, didn't it?
It did, didn't it?
Because you
Very
couldn't
nice.
really fit Futurama Fact in.
No, exactly. I mean, I've got that nice little bit of alliteration there, which is always fun, isn't it?
Absolutely.
I like
Fab Fact, Future Fact, amazing.
Nice. Right. Now, I'm going to head on over to our email bag
Please
and
do.
pull out a few missives. This one, for example, is from Chris Yost, who says, "Good morning. Last night, I finally got to see Gerry Anderson, A Life Uncharted. I can't help feeling cheated, since in my mind, everyone else got to see it already last year. Yesterday, my second son found it on Amazon Prime and bought it for me, and I watched it with the wife yesterday. Fascinating. We really enjoyed it. I was hoping the wife would, as she'd wasn't on the same level of fan that I am, but she did, and I'm very glad that she was there. I had wondered when people had said that the end was emotional, but watching it showed me why, especially at the end when Jamie walked off the bridge. And not to spoil what happens as he does, in case you read this on the podcast, but if she hadn't been beside me, I would have been busted out bawling," says Chris. And I have to wonder if it would have hit me so hard had I not met him by pure chance in a hotel elevator in 1978 in Columbus, Ohio, and talked with the man for that brief ride down, gaining his blessing to sell my Space 1999 fan fiction stories, properly disclaimed, of course. Well, says Chris, well done once again. In fact, thinking about it is making me mist up as I write this. Congratulations on a superb production. As always, all the very best from Chris Yost in Pennsylvania, USA.
Amazing. I'm so glad the film is out in the US now.
Yeah.
And we will talk about that more, but I believe it's streaming very shortly and on DVD out there, and DVD and Blu-ray coming later this month in the UK.
Great, nice.
So nice, because it's been at its exclusive window on BritBox in the UK. So to have it out there in the world now is rather lovely, and obviously very lovely to get feedback like that, Chris. Thank you so much.
And to finally have a physical copy for people to put on their shelves and watch whenever they want.
Exactly that.
Chris Turner got in touch to say, "Hi, Jamie, Richard and Chris. I'm writing to you about Space Precinct after listening to Chris's review of The Fire Within in pods 236 and 237. Having grown up watching the Super Marination shows in the 1960s, I remember eagerly anticipating this brand new Gerry Anderson show. And sure enough, I watched the first few episodes when the show was aired on BBC Two, which would have been in September and October 1995, according to Richard's excellent book, Space Precinct Unmasked."
Never heard
I'd just like to say, that's not why I'm reading this.
Of course not.
However, continues Chris Turner, having very young children at the time meant that the 6 p.m. time slot wasn't ideal, and after those first few episodes I missed the next few and then never got back into it. Now, many years later, I have the DVD box set and I've watched the complete series. I agree with Chris that The Fire Within is one of the strongest storylines with real tension and didn't see it coming plot twists. The two-parter is also on Richard's one-to-watch list, and it really stood out for me as one of the best stories in the whole series. From looking through the DVD sleeve notes, also Richard's book and Wikipedia, what shines out is the sheer quality of the talent involved in the series. As Chris informed us, The Fire Within was directed by John Glenn, who directed several James Bond films, and many of the writers and directors on the show had long and successful careers with British and US theatre, film and TV. That Gerry was able to attract such high-quality talent onto the show is testament to his standing in the industry. There has been some talk of a Space Precinct vault on recent episodes of the podcasts, and I would love to see something that could bring the same level of background detail that Chris Bentley, David Hirsch and Robert E. Wood have brought to their Space 1999 books. I'd be fascinated to know much more about the development and production of the series, for example on the visual effects, which I don't think is covered elsewhere, and this would be a great companion piece to Richard's book. Finally, I'm looking forward to all the great stuff you have planned for 2023 and beyond. Keep up the great work. Best wishes, Chris Turner.
Lovely.
Isn't that great?
It's again, another reason why we do all this stuff is to make sure people can access stuff and try it out for the first time, second time, having passed on something in the past, and I don't really think I like that, and then give it another shot.
Yes.
And so to hear that is marvellous, isn't it? And obviously, I'm sure it gives you a little thrill, doesn't it?
Oh, yes, of course. Yeah. But I mean, Chris is absolutely right. There was a measure of Gerry. By then he was in his late 50s, early 60s during 95 94, 95?
He will have been mid-60s, yeah.
Right, yeah. But, as Chris said, even then he was able to attract, great talent, international talent to work on Space Precinct, which is a real measure of the man, I think.
Yes.
I love that story about him phoning John Glenn and asking him if he knew of any directors who wanted to direct his new series. And John Glenn said, well, I'll do it. John Glenn.
Yeah, amazing,
Brilliant.
isn't it?
Yeah, really good. Here's one from Daniel M, who says, "Hi, Richard and Jamie. Gerry Anderson's career is a truly admirable one. He has consistently innovated and entertained an audience for decades and deserves the highest recognition for this. The Gerry Anderson Podcast is a perfect encapsulation of his legacy, bringing together fans from across the world to unite in their love of his work. I am one of these fans, and I've greatly enjoyed every Anderson production I've been able to get my hands on. Gerry's work is truly timeless and transcends all generational boundaries, and I should know, being only 14 years old."
Love that.
Yeah. He says, "When I was about 8, I first saw Thunderbirds. I've been watching the 2015 reboot on CITV, which I enjoyed greatly at the time. The first series then finished, and of course I wanted more. My parents then informed me about the original series. I was intrigued to watch it, but couldn't find it on TV or YouTube anywhere, couldn't afford the DVDs. While Thunderbird itself may not have been on TV, I was able to find the documentary filmed in Super Marionation. I watched it, and suddenly a new world opened up to me. I then proceeded to receive Thunderbirds on DVD for my birthday and was immediately captivated. I was terrified of the Hood at first, my younger self going so far as to skip episodes I knew he was in. I soon got over it though. I found a ton of clips of Stingray and Captain Scarlet on YouTube, which I watched over and over before finally getting the DVDs. I do wonder sometimes whether there are other Gerry Anderson fans who are my age. I certainly hope so. I'm proud to say I attended the Standby for Action concert, which I greatly enjoyed. I was part of the VIP section, where I met and got the signatures of Jamie, Richard, Chris, and many others."
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
All makes sense now.
There you go. "Thanks for all you do to preserve the Anderson legacy," says Daniel. "I have greatly enjoyed many of the recent audio adventures, and the podcast keeps me and many others endlessly entertained. P.S., says Daniel, "send my regards to Chris Dale. The Gerry Anderson primers are some of my favourite YouTube videos of all time."
Brilliant. They are brilliant, to be fair.
Aren't they?
So, yes.
Oh, yeah. That's fair enough.
Here. Well done, Chris. But isn't that a lovely email? Daniel, thank you so much.
Yeah, absolutely right.
We always say it, don't we? There's new Anderson fans arriving, appearing.
Yes.
It as he says, transcends ages, and that's just so brilliant to hear. And what a nicely written note. Thank you, Daniel.
Lovely.
But we know there are other fans in their early teens, certainly.
Yep.
We've definitely have had emails from people between sort of 12 and 18, 19 before.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, absolutely.
So you're all out there. So
yes, that's nice. So in one post bag there, we had an email from someone who met Gerry in 1978. And,
yes.
And then we get someone who's 14 and still enjoying the shows today. Now, finally, this is a quick one from Martin Laybourne. Now, I love it when FAB Facts is proved wrong. Don't you, Jamie?
What? No, I've never heard of such a thing.
Well, Martin says, just a quick note to say, I'm currently reading Ronnie Wood's autobiography.
Uh-oh.
And he mentions the name for his band, the Thunderbirds, came from the 1960 Chuck Berry song, Jaguar and the Thunderbird. Jaguar and the Thunderbird. So there you go. Keep up the good work, Martin Laybourne. All right?
Thanks, Martin. I was saying how nice it is when people write in. It's funny how you can go off that.
At least they're listening.
Yes, that is true. That is true.
Intently,
and what
obviously.
Astute podstrons we have who listen and pay attention and read books and all sorts. So thank you.
We don't mind being wrong. That's fine.
Thank you, Martin. No, absolutely. It's great to get that cleared up. But the Stones were still fans or are still fans.
Okay,
so
fair enough.
That's not disputed.
Made up. Yeah. Sorry, great.
Richard.
There we are. No, stop it. Now, so thank you all so much for those wonderful emails. Do keep them coming in. It's very easy. You just open your email client on your Mac or your PC or your phone, and you type in podcast@gerryanderson.com in the recipient line, and then perhaps you put something in the subject line telling us what the email is about. But then in the main body of the email, that's where you write your email. You press send, and I'll read it out. just in case anyone is,
Brilliant.
Not sure how to get in touch.
If someone
That's
is not, they're listening to a podcast and yet they don't know how to send an email. Well, thank goodness you're listening
to cover all bases. We welcome everyone here, Jamie, as you know.
We do. You're listening to the Gerry Anderson Tech Support podcast, giving you hints and tips about basic functionality and technology today. Let's move on. I think I've got some Gerry Anderson news for you. Would you like that?
Oh, thank goodness for that.
Good. Here's some Gerry Anderson news. Yes, indeed. It's the Gerry Anderson news.
Yeah.
Let me start with the top story today.
Oh, yes.
Today, the day of release.
Yeah.
Well, it's National Pie Day.
Right, okay. Okay.
Anyway, moving on. So I don't know why this is crept in. Somebody put it into our marketing meeting, and then somebody said, "Oh, well, Grandma's always baking pies in Thunderbirds, so we should probably mention that."
Okay. Well, I tell you what, here's a challenge. All this week, then, if you're listening to this podcast or on the day of release or soon after, bake us a Thunderbirds or Gerry Anderson related pie. Post a picture on social media, and we can all enjoy it.
Brilliant. Well, you can enjoy looking at it. We can't eat it, sadly.
No, sure.
But,
yeah. That'd be great. There you go.
Okay, well, that's unexpected, but there we are. Now, have you been on our YouTube channel recently?
Yes.
Did you see Agent 21 on Saturday?
Oh, I must have missed that.
Yeah, well, there you go. Agent 21, a strip from the 1960s from TV 21, which was really put there to sell toys.
Fair enough.
That's
all we're here for, let's face it.
Absolutely, yes, obviously that. Chris Thompson and the team started this project back in lockdown, would you believe?
Wow.
Bringing an Agent 21 strip to life, and the first part of 2 was released this weekend on our YouTube channels. Please do pop along and have a look there.
Lovely.
As I think I mentioned last week, finally our UFO and Space 1999 technical operations manuals are back in stock, having sold out over the Christmas period. Sorry about that. That was they proved to be more popular than we thought, which is rather lovely.
Yeah.
But they are available now from the UK or the US store, up to you, shop.gerryanderson.com or gerryanderson.store. On the 30th of January, that's a week today from the day of release, Ben Field, the director-producer of Gerry Anderson Live Uncharted, and me will be doing a live stream hosted by Anderson fan and broadcaster and journalist David Munday, previous podcast guest as well, if you remember. That's Sunday with an M, which is always how I remember to spell his surname. So on...
Sorry, say that again.
It's like spelt Sunday, but with an M.
Okay.
Rather than Monday with a U. Do you see what I mean? Anyway, David Munday.
Sunday with an M.
Sunday, but replace the S of Sunday with an M.
I see.
You see?
I thought, well, there isn't an M in Sunday.
Well, that's why you have to add the M.
Sorry, I'm a bit slow today.
Anyway, so Monday the 30th with David Munday, that's Sunday with an M.
Right, got you.
Ben and I will be doing a live stream at 6 p.m. across all of our social channels, answering your questions, telling you about the extended edition of Gerry Anderson Life Uncharted, which is being released next week. You can pre-order it now. Giving you some insights into how we made it, answering your questions live. If you have any questions that you would like answered, then you can email us in advance. If you email fablive@gerryanderson.com, we'll get your questions in advance and I can send them over to David and he will ask them. But we will be answering stuff live, giving you some clips, behind the scenes pickies, all sorts of stuff. And as usual with these Q&As to do with the Life Uncharted, because it's such a very personal story, there are no holds barred on questions. You can ask whatever you like and we will do our best to answer them as honestly and openly as we possibly can. There's some difficult subject matter in there, so I don't think we should shy away from answering difficult questions about the difficult subject matter.
Fair enough.
That's fair, isn't it?
Yeah.
On to something lighter and more clothing-y based.
Right.
Chris Thompson's been a busy boy and he's done us 3 new designs for UFO, Stingray and some other show which I'm not terribly fond of, I think. Those t-shirts will be arriving in the store this coming week. A reminder to those of you who have been waiting for the Maybe There paperback. This is the lost stories from Space 1999, taking unfilmed and draft scripts and novelising them for your enjoyment so you can see everything that might have been in Space 1999. You can order the paperback from the Gerry Anderson store or Amazon, or you can also get the Kindle ebook version. Now, we've got a few of you asking, are you going to do a non-Kindle version? For those of you who don't have Amazon e-readers or whatever, we're looking into it. Not right now, though. Later this week, we'll have a small interview article on the website about an upcoming comics micro exhibition to be held in London in March. More on that very, very soon.
Okay.
Also, Richard, you did write a book, didn't you?
I did write a book.
Intergalactic Rescue Force, Stellar Patrol.
That's right, I did. We launched it at London Film and Comic Con thing in
November. Yes. So the hardback sold out, so that's rather lovely. But the paperback and Kindle version are coming at the end of this week. You'll be able to order them from Amazon, so there you go, that's exciting. Great. And now we've got a few birthdays. let's get the sad birthday out the way first. The 27th of January would have been Tim Beddoes' birthday. It would have been his 60th birthday.
Oh, wow. Right.
So that's very, very sad, and we remain ever so grateful for everything Tim has done for the Anderson legacy and so much other cult TV.
Yeah.
But on to brighter birthdays. It's hashtag Mummy A's birthday on the 26th.
Ah, is it?
So happy birthday in advance, Mummy A. And if you'd like to send Mummy A your wishes, please do use the hashtag on Twitter, hashtag Mummy A.
Nice.
And send her your birthday wishes. And then on the 28th, I think, there's another birthday. Is that right?
Yeah. There is. That's true, yes.
I can't remember whose it is, but it's just in my mind that there's... it's Richard James's birthday.
No, don't
He's
mention
21 on the 28th of January. Happy 21st birthday in advance, Richard.
Thank you very much. Yes.
Yes.
There we are.
What is it? Is it your 33rd, 21st birthday, something like that, I think?
33rd? No, I'm 54, I think.
Doesn't that make sense then, that it would be your 33rd, 21st birthday? Is that right? You see what I'm saying?
Yeah,
anyway.
I see. Yes, I think you're right, yes.
I probably, the maths has failed there. But yes, anyway, there you go. Happy birthday in advance to our amazing co-host, writer, actor, general legend, Richard James.
Put it like that, that's pretty impressive, isn't it?
Yeah, and you can make sure you tweet Richard N. James and wish him happy birthday on the 28th of January.
Oh, now you've torn it.
Or before. It's up to you.
Yeah, there we are.
Anyway, so those birthday wishes bring us to the end of this week's Bumper Gerry Anderson News.
That was the news, birthday news.
It wasn't all birthday news.
Well, I love the way we're using the word bumper now because of
you
last week or the week
it.
before. That's right.
You've been saying bumper for ages. I think you've been saying bumper since pod 8 or something. Because when we started getting more emails, and you said we've got a bumper crop this week.
Oh, well, there you go.
And then you've never stopped.
No, well, there we are. Well, I think more people should say it more often.
Okay, bumper.
Bumper. Now, over on our Bumper Facebook group, people have been leaving some messages and pictures of their cosplay, and Hannah's been leaving some lovely pictures of her posing with her Big Chief Thunderbirds toys, dolls, as she's been doing her wonderful
figures.
drawings. That's the one. Now, Linda Kelly, for example, has posted, hello.
Hello.
Huge Space 1999 fan here.
Hello, huge Space 1999 fan there.
I can't believe I only found the podcast today, says Linda, doing some catch-up. Oh, I should think so.
There's a lot to do.
There really is, yeah. But put aside a bit of time for that, if I were you, Linda.
Yeah, but welcome along.
Goodall says, continuing from my previous largely irrelevant Team America post, how about Trey Parker and Matt Stone as podcast guests, says Dick.
Yes, I'm sure they would drop everything and do that in a heartbeat. I'm sure they're not busy at all.
CJ List commented, he said, I somehow doubt it unless they were actual fans of Jerry's shows. Busted would be more likely candidates than them.
We're back on Busted, are we?
Well,
oh dear.
To which, Robert M. Cassidy says, OMG, they would be amazing guests.
You're absolutely right, they would be.
Wouldn't they be? Yeah, of course they would. Joe Holly says, I went to see Megan last night, which is a new film just released in the UK.
Yes.
That's M3GAN, Megan.
Yes.
I'm not entirely sure, says Joe, how they brought the robot to life, but found it reminiscent of the more realistic style of puppetry they were going for Scarlet and Joe 19 Secret Service. Perhaps a new style of animation for future Anderson productions.
I think didn't they mask up the actor and then add stuff on in VFX afterwards, I think.
Yeah,
I'm not entirely
probably.
sure, but I have seen it. It's very Candy and Andy, I think.
Yes, exactly. What's the phrase? Oh, Uncanny Valley is the phrase, isn't it? That's
yeah, well, it's Uncanny Valley on purpose in this case.
Sure,
it? So.
Right, yeah, exactly. Roger Smith has posted, this is from Paul Dunn, I think. Roger says, I've just seen this on a Coventry site, posted by Paul, and it's taken from Coventry Carnival as it goes through Broadgate. I'm guessing, says Roger, in the early 60s. Thought it might be of interest, and it's a picture of a huge Fireball XL5 being carried through the streets of Coventry as part of the carnival at some point in the early 60s.
Amazing.
Isn't it? Andrew Clements commented, well, they'll have someone's eye out with that if they're not careful. Yeah.
Dangerous.
Absolutely. So yes, do join in the fun on our Facebook group. Quite easy. Pop along to facebook.com/groups/podstrons. Answer a few questions. We'll let you in and you can post away to your heart's content.
Oh, and join in and be friends with a lot of lovely people. That's the whole aim, isn't it?
Yeah, quite. Yeah,
the friendliest, nicest, happiest place on the internet.
And I have to say, we're now up to 912 members.
Oh, because you were after your 1,000, weren't you? So we're really getting
by Christmas. Having not made it this Christmas, I've pushed the the tape back another
Push
year.
the what's it. Yeah, you really have. Well,
There
that's
you go.
great. Oh,
Could
lovely.
happen. Could happen.
Lovely.
Yeah.
No, well, it's really nice to see, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah, Podstars, do share your love of the podcast with your chums because, you know, if you're friends with them, you've kind of pre-selected them as nice people who might enjoy
Yeah.
being part of the Podstars group and,
That's
and
right.
listening in. So
Indeed.
spread the word.
Yes.
Okay, Richard James, would you
Yes.
like me now to drop the second part of a podcast interview?
Only if it's as good as the first part of the podcast interview.
I think it might be better, you know, because the first part was really fascinating. I loved hearing from David Mather about the history of Corgi and how it all kind of ended up wrapped up together with Hornby having been a previous competitor to Dinky and all the history of toy stuff, and obviously the news of the new Stingray. There's a bit more about Stingray in this second part, but also I ventured to ask David about what other Anderson collectibles might be coming down the pipeline and what he might like to do in the future. Now, bearing in mind that he's head of brand for Corgi, I'm not saying what he says goes, but he's quite influential. So if he's saying, I'd like, I don't know, a particular Thunderbirds vehicle that might not often be produced to be produced,
Right.
and there's quite a good chance of that. So listening closely, I think you'll be happy to hear David Mather's aspirations for Corgi Anderson collectibles in the future. So here's some more details of the new tooling of Stingray and David's hopes and dreams for Corgi in the future. It's David Mather from Corgi, Part 2.
Okay, one more question then, because Airfix is part of your group as well. How has that kind of wound up in there as well? Because Airfix famously did a lot of Anderson kits as well, so there's more Anderson heritage there.
So again, Airfix was a separate company. I mean, sort of the Airfix team sit on the opposite side of the desk from me, so I have to admit I've not fully researched their dates, so I better not get in trouble with them. But you know, they again sort of were a separate company. They were based with Humbrol up in Slough, and so they've gone and effectively came under the Hornby Hobbies umbrella again in the 2000s. Yeah, and so they sort of, again, produced kits a little while ago. Not currently in the range, unfortunately, but they are in the process of releasing a lot of vintage kits. So I do sort of keep nudging and throwing things across the desk on occasion.
Well, you need to sharpen those elbows a bit more, I think. We're very happy to lend you some sharp elbows if need to be. So this would kind of bring me on to a thing that we get a lot, which is fans will write in and say, I want this toy that existed in the 70s or the 60s. Why haven't you issued it?
Yes.
So why haven't, I'm putting my hands on my hips now, I'm sure listeners will be able to hear, why haven't Corgi/Hornby released a load of stuff that existed in the past? What's happened there, and how does that kind of legacy of tooling, as it's called, and that kind of thing mean that you can't just, press a button and have thousands of Thunderbird 1 or 3 or 2 toys out there?
That's it. I mean, there is sort of the incredible dull vagaries of business, which are one thing. So, we sort of
make it exciting.
Make it exciting. Yeah, I know. We can sort of release only so many products a year, but
of course,
which is, it can be problematic. It's all about finding that juggle and seeing things. But we reissued Thunderbird 2 with Thunderbird 4 this year, and it's pretty much sold out.
Yeah,
quite quickly. So it is one of my priorities to reissue everything else we've got as soon as we can. I can't promise it will be next year, unfortunately, but it will be leading up to the 60th.
Right.
And at the same sort of breath, I am a massive fan myself, so I'm aware that there are some big holes in things and things that people have never done, and so I'm sort of looking at those and saying, we really need to make Thunderbird 5.
Well, I'm not going to say no to that. I mean, it's that I'm going to pretend that's a podcast exclusive. It feels like it. You should. You're not promising anything, or are you promising?
Can't promise anything yet.
Okay.
But I mean, it is one of those where, I have lists of things we should make across all of our little sub-brands, and it's like, that's a big tick, that's a big tick. So Thunderbird 5 is a big tick for me personally as a fan. It's one of those things which has never been done. In die casts scale with the other products.
No.
I mean, it's one of those things which also annoys me about, I say annoy, it's a bit strong, but...
Go on, say annoy.
When you look at them and you say, okay, they're toys, but at the same time, they're not actually in correct scale with each other.
No.
So that's always one of those things where it sort of drives me slightly up the wall when Thunderbird 1 and Thunderbird 3 are in a double pack. And it's like, Thunderbird 3 should be like twice the size of that. It should be bigger than Thunderbird 2.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
Thunderbird 2 is not in scale with Thunderbird 1. And so it goes on. But, in the dream stakes, we'd be dealing with that. But no, I have to be a bit realistic at times as well.
Yeah, it can't have it all absolutely perfect. I mean, I think people... I mean, there's no reason why they should know about the process of how these things are made and the length of time and the costs involved. And again, I'm not asking for specific numbers on this, but just to say that these costs are high.
Yes.
So what if you decide today, and again, this is hypothetical, there's no promises here, but if you decide today you can do Thunderbird 5, what's the process from you saying, yes, off we go, green lighting it, to it appearing on shelf? And how long does that take?
I mean, in between, I'd say instead of to do the quick answer, it's about 18 months.
Yeah.
So it's that sort of range. At the same time, in that 18 months, at the very start, we're doing a lot of presentations. We're having to convince people higher up the food chain in the company.
Of course.
I'm having to fill out spreadsheets. I'm having to work out financials.
Exciting.
All sorts of thrilling things like that, which the boy playing in the dirt wouldn't have ever imagined. But it's sort of... You sort of have to make the good case for it. There clearly is a good case for it. And you sort of progress along quite well. Now, I mean, we're sort of planning, and I think, so I sort of said before we started recording that earlier this week we've done our range launch, and in that I did like a soft launch on video of a new tool of Stingray.
Hooray!
Which is basically about the same size as the dinky Thunderbird 2.
Nice.
And the Corgi Thunderbird 2 as well, I should say.
Both?
Yeah, and it's sort of one of those things where, it was on a list, and we looked at it, and it sort of got forgotten about for a couple of years, and it's come back, and I said, this is a priority item. And so it's actually progressing really, really quickly. We've designed it to be in time for the 60th anniversary in 2024. I can't actually say when we'll be having it available for pre-order as yet, because it is sort of moving at pace. So we need to time it. It'll be available for pre-order in 2023. Yeah, is what I'll say. Corgi basically does like 3 pre-order announcements. There's one in January, one in May, and one in September. Yeah. So it'll be in one of the May or September ones. We'll figure out which.
Right.
But the whole, it was literally just on a list, and it said Stingray. And so you look at it and you say, well, what do you do? Because, I've got the Matchbox one. There was the Product Enterprise Giant one.
Yep.
Which is an absolutely beautiful model and changes hands for really silly money on the auction website place. And it's one of those where you sort of say, well, what do you do different? And you sort of go backwards and forwards and look at it. And it's the same sort of thinking where with our hypothetical Thunderbird 5, it's like, well, no one's done it. So, well, if you do it, you want to make sure that Thunderbird 3 can dock with it.
Yeah.
Because then you have sort of 2 inanimate objects that suddenly have a play feature.
Yes.
And so, with Stingray, it's a little bit different. And the one thing which had never been done before, and was sort of going for that nostalgia angle, which we'd spoken about, was there's a toy which you always wish you had and you never got. And so with Stingray, it is something as simple as go back to the dinky, go back to the classic Corgi toys and put firing torpedoes in it. And so that's what ours is going to do. So we'll supply you more than 2, because I know I've already lost some already. So it's very much in the engineering stage.
Brilliant.
To the degree that my beautiful engineering sample that's sat next to me on the desk that listeners can't see, but it's here.
Oh, you could, but again, please show it to me and describe it in all its beauty.
I'll waft it up for you, Jamie. Here you go.
Yeah.
Oh, something's just fallen off of it after fun. But yeah, it's currently sort of in the silver bare metal, which is actually a really sort of strong look for Stingray.
It does
to be
look
honest.
lovely, I have to say. Yeah,
it's beautiful, and it's got a high metal content in terms of plastic. I mean, I can't see the interior, but you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 plastic parts, and then the rest of it is pure die-cast metal.
Yeah, amazing.
I mean, there's some little allowances, which sort of gives it that dinky feel in some ways, because to get the torpedoes in there, you have to slightly alter the form factor around the torpedo tubes on the nose. So it's got more of a straight edge at this stage. But, it's sort of, regardless, it looks like Stingray. It's sort of got a bit more to it in some ways than the Matchbox, because the entire upper surface of the Matchbox, I seem to remember, was plastic. And even the everything on the top, the cabin and everything, the fins on the back, it's metal.
Yeah.
So it's significantly heavy as well.
I can see you're almost struggling to hold it up there.
I should be bench pressing this thing, to be honest. But yeah, no, it's one of those where you sort of look at it and say, okay. And we've sort of progressed really quickly with it. In all honesty, it sort of rattled along where we were saying, it'll probably be out in like February 2024 or something. It'll be before then, I'd say. But it's very much a watch this space.
Great.
And we'll let you guys know so you can put it on the news section.
Yeah. Well, we can't wait for that. It does look lovely. And as you were holding it up then, I'm comparing it over the back of my monitor to my, which you probably can't see, but
I just see the reflection.
My Studio Stingray model, and the shape is excellent. It looks really, really good. So I think that would be a lovely addition.
And a display stand for it as well, so it'll sit on a stand rather than just be plonked on the ground.
And does the Ratemaster spin round?
It does indeed.
It's free moving.
Yeah, I'll show you that, Jamie, so you can see I'm not kidding.
Oh, he's telling the truth. It really does.
It really does spin.
Nice. Okay,
it does spin.
All right, so I want one of those immediately, please, but I know I'll have to wait until 2024. That's fine. I'll have to cope.
Or maybe not. Maybe a little earlier.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, let's see.
We'll be seeing how we do.
Okay. Well, that's fantastic. So that essentially goes through a kind of initial, I guess, 3D CG design, then goes out to be prepped and then tooled up, and then
that's it. So basically everything's done in CAD. So back in the day they would have been carved out of wood, in effect. Or it sort of we sort of on a separate avenue from this. We didn't do any scanning with this one, but we LiDAR scan things nowadays at Corgi. So we go off and we LiDAR scan aircraft, we LiDAR scan cars. To make it as accurate as possible.
Yeah.
And then that data is translated into CAD and it goes from there. This one was sculpted.
Yeah.
And so we have that stage. Then we effectively, and I know sort of Tim saw this, we get a 3D print.
Yep.
And then we had the engineering sample come in as metal. So this only actually arrived on Friday last week.
Oh, okay.
So we've had it in hand for 5 days. So it's sort of nicely timed for this recording, to be honest.
Yeah.
Then from there, simultaneous to that, as soon as we got the CAD locked and approved, we go off and have product artwork done.
Yep.
So, it's quite a straightforward one for something like Stingray. Everyone knows what the colour scheme is.
Yep.
Easy to get right. So that exists as well. And then from there, the two are in effect combined from the metal engineering. So the next stage we'll get a pre-production sample of it.
Nice.
Which will come along, which will be fully painted. And then we make any sort of necessary tweaks to that. And then we get our final signed sample, which arrives in final packaging. And we get that about 2 weeks to a month before it hits the boat and it's on its way from shores afar to our UK warehouse.
Yes, indeed. And we know all the difficulties involved with that. So
yes. That's been fun, but we won't go into that on this podcast.
No, it's lots of our patrons are very well aware because they've had to put up with enormous delays on pre-orders for stuff, particularly die cast and physical product like that. It's been
it's
quite challenging.
Better now.
Yes,
definitely better now.
Things are improving. Things are definitely improving. Anyway, it looks fantastic and well worth waiting. Actually, not that long for. By the time this is out, we're talking 12 or 13 months until you could have it on your shelves. So that's very exciting.
No, that's it.
Anything else that you are allowed to talk about that is in the pipeline?
Well, this is a bit of a new start for us. We'll be reissuing as well in 2023 Captain Scarlet.
Great.
So the SPV and the Angel Interceptor, the Corgi tools of those, which were relatively new in mid-2000s, they'll be coming out again. SPV in particular is going to be a good one because it's never had the front grille decorated properly with the black crosshatch on it.
Lovely, okay.
So we're doing that, which was never done by Dinky or Matchbox or I don't even think by the original Corgi version.
Yeah. Does it have the missile in the front? Was it the tip?
Yeah, that's still in there.
Brilliant.
Scarlet in the side ejector door as well. The moving tracks at the back, all of that. So that's going to be coming later in 2023 as well.
Amazing.
And then basically it is sort of seeing how Stingray lands because that sort of can dictate as to sort of say, well, do we do a Terrorfish? Which has the same torpedo firing function.
Yes.
It's not been done either. Things like that. And as I say, Thunderbird 5 already sort of says very high in contention.
Yeah.
And then, other things which are, the fantasy wish list things about having things in scale with each other, which is, alas, probably a pipe dream. But, I would love to be able to do it.
Yeah.
I'd love to be able to do it.
How on earth would you? What's going to be your largest one there? 5, I guess. 5 and 3.
Yeah, if you went for it, 3 would definitely. I mean, yeah, three would definitely be the longest. But I don't know whether you'd break your wrists trying to pick up Thunderbird 2 if we did it in die cast. It's serious business. Because we sort of do with our aviation range, we do an Avro Vulcan in 1/72nd scale. That's a big model, and we're probably talking a similar level of size if we ever did it. But it's one of those, if we sort of get enough sort of like screaming, yes please, it's like it goes into serious contention. So we're sort of trying to be quite realistic at this stage and sort of say these are the items that we know that we would be well received, and especially Thunderbird 5. I've been sort of banging on about it for so long, and the fact that it's such a gaping hole, and just because it sort of sits there in effect doesn't mean it doesn't do anything. So you can add those features into it to give it sort of that nostalgic playability. Or it can just sit there looking lovely on your shelf with Thunderbird 3 docked in it.
Exactly, it can just look super striking. It'll be great. So I really hope Thunderbird 5 comes off. Anything in any other areas? Dan say Scalextric, is that a thing?
So there's something happening with that. I don't know what time their range announcement goes out on.
Okay, well then
before this,
I cannot say anything else.
It will have been announced. They're doing a Scalextric version of Fab 1, which is the head of brand there has sort of said will be pretty much the largest Scalextric car ever made.
Amazing.
I don't know what you could race against it, because it sort of just about goes on the track by all accounts. But it'd be interesting. You'd just be having to be racing some of the Mini Coopers or something against it, so they don't knock each other off. Or maybe that's the point. Who knows?
Yes.
But that'll be a good one. I'm personally yet to see anything for it, because sort of all the teams within Hornby sort of work relatively independently, and then we sort of have like a conflab meeting, and then we go our own ways again. So I'm looking forward to seeing that one. But that one will definitely be public knowledge as well. It's on the front cover of the catalogue, I believe. So
I'm sure it's going to be. I mean, if not, then we've blown it, and now it is public knowledge. But that's fine.
Now I'm in trouble.
It's fine. It was my fault. I forced your hand. No, that's very cool. So actually, there's quite a lot coming up and coming out, and I'm hoping that we might see some Airfix bits and pieces in the future as well. I'll have to wait and see there.
I'll keep needling.
Yeah, good. Thank you. I mean, is there anything kind of weird, wacky, like a dream thing that would be unlikely?
Wow. I mean, you'd love to do Fire Flash.
Oh, yes. Yeah. Fire Flash with a special Thunderbird 2 set with a few elevator cars.
It would be an absolute cracker, that one. But it is. I think it's one of those things where you can keep going and keep going, and it's a question of whether you do or whether you keep to the core stuff and make the core stuff, really good. Yeah. And I sort of think that these toys, as they are now, have sort of existed in a slightly sort of involved form for decades. And I sort of feel that, especially the age that sort of I am, the age that quite a lot of your listeners are, not to insult anyone listening. That's not my intent at all.
It's a very wise audience.
It's sort of like, if we've got a bit of disposable income, we don't necessarily want toys. So it is sort of like the collector level stuff.
Yeah,
is really sort of something which sits on my mind at times as well.
Yeah.
So sort of to make something proper premium and really, really strong for a very discerning audience.
Absolutely,
something for the future, I think.
And has the reaction to stuff like Thunderbird 2 surprised the higher ups at Hornby Corgi?
Well, I mean, just the fact that it came in and it's gone out, basically, it just sort of says that, well, okay, there's no sort of decline in interest here, really. We've got another order on the books for Thunderbird 2. Brilliant. So that'll be coming back into stock in the future. And that's ultimately what sort of, we were already planning to add these items back into the range, but it's definitely a driver for us to sort of say that, we need to make sure these are here, because something like the Anderson properties and so much with other sort of things in our portfolio as well, they very much align with the Corgi ethos, the heritage angle, the nostalgia angle helps if they're sort of, British, things like that. And so, we're working with sort of other places like Triumph Motorcycles, Bond, obviously, and, other things. I'll be able to say we're working with Aardman, Wallace and Gromit.
Great.
We're doing. So and you can sort of see they're all sort of in a similar sort of ballpark.
Yeah.
And it is sort of about getting these things which are like classic nostalgia standards and making sure we keep them in our range as long as people want to buy them. Is sort of really what I'm looking at doing for the future.
Amazing. And doing an excellent job of it, clearly, because people are buying Thunderbird 2 and clamouring for more. And I'm sure the Stingray news will have raised a lot of smiles.
Yes. We'll be, as I say, there's a video, if listeners wanted to see it, there's a video on the Corgi YouTube where it's featured in there. It's also in our blog, which should have been published last Friday. We're recording this a little bit in the past, so I'm talking about the future. But it's planned to be in there, and I'm going to make sure
future
it
past.
is.
Yes,
so
good.
so depending on when this goes out, it'll be there in our January 13th edition. So there'll be some detailed pictures of it in that.
Great.
So you can have a good look at it there as well.
Okay, so where should listeners head to see that, David?
So for that, that's on corgi.co.uk. That's on our main website. It's our Diecast Diaries blog, so that goes out every 2 weeks. So obviously there'll be a variety of stuff in there as well, but Stingray will be going in that edition, which came out on January 13th. So I won't read out a hyperlink because it doesn't exist yet, but it'll be there. If you have a hunt, it'll also be sort of promoted on our social media channels as well. Okay. So you'll be able to find it across like the Corgi, Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. You'll find a direct link to that blog from on the 13th.
Okay, well, we'll put a link in the show notes to this episode so listeners can click below and see the pictures. Because, it's one thing us talking about it and making lots of coos and nice noises, but actually seeing it.
Yeah, seeing it's the thing. And sort of, it sort of might be the fact that we end up having to release a silver special edition of it, because I am sort of really quite taken with it sitting on my desk.
It does.
At the moment. It's sort of the development team have lost it, basically. It's just set in front of me. It's like, it's mine now.
Yeah.
It's just going to sit there and I'll look at that because it is very nice in silver.
I'm jealous. Well, if there's a break-in and it goes missing, then it may well be on my desk later on.
You have to find my desk first, though, Jamie. There's, it might be tempted by other things.
All right, well, we'll see about that. Anyway, theming aside, David, it's been really, really nice chatting, and I'm sure people will be fascinated by the kind of the heritage and the links through time and all the stuff that you're doing, and they'll also be very grateful that you're, investing in it, because there are lots of other things I'm sure vying for license spend and development time and all that. So thanks for doing your bit for all things Anderson.
No, very happy to do so, and sort of, as I say, that 11-year-old would never have believed it, and he's sort of quite happy to be doing it now. And tell you that. So, long may it continue.
I'm very glad to hear it. Well, let's hope that we can speak in 2024 about all the amazing things you're planning for 2025, maybe including the hypothetical Thunderbird 5 even.
Maybe indeed, yeah. Definitely more than happy to come back and sort of show off to you, and then sort of direct people to go and look at it somewhere else to see it when it happens.
All right, well, I'll keep my fingers crossed for 2025. But for now, David, thanks so much for joining me.
Excellent. Thanks very much, Jamie.
Now, there you go. Are you excited by that?
Yeah, very.
5... is the one you were talking about. I'm not going to do the whole counter because they've done the others.
That's right.
Yes, so there is a possibility of a Corgi Thunderbird 5 in the future. Now,
that please a lot of people. Yeah,
I'm not suggesting you harass anyone. Not suggesting that you contact anyone to the point of, restraining order being required.
No, let's not do that. No,
but I don't think it would do any harm if you were to contact Corgi or Hornby just via their customer services, or tweet David online or tweet Corgi online and just say how thrilled you are about Stingray and how you're going to collect it, and this is really brilliant, and perhaps how you might have a wish list of other things, and if you include the things that David has talked about, then maybe that might encourage those and Corgi and give them evidence that there's a market out there for this stuff, because that's the only way this stuff happens.
That's right.
So there you go. There's my little hint and tip. If you want to see more of what David's been talking about, particularly Stingray, you can check out the Diecast Diaries on Corgi's official website, or the article on our website that also talks about the upcoming Scalextric FAB 1, which is not David's department, so he didn't talk about it because Scalextric is like a different sub-banner within Hornby.
I see.
But yes, coming in 2024 and available to pre-order now, should you wish to do so, the FAB 1 Scalextric edition.
Amazing.
Which I think is, they said, the largest Scalextric they've ever done.
Gosh,
something like that. Anyway, so I think it's a bit of a challenge to try and get another car on the track
Yeah.
So it might have to race by itself. But there we go.
Lovely.
It's nice to see all this stuff still coming through, and we know there's lots more in the background. So there you go. Next week, another interview, but I can't remember who it is, so we'll have to wait until next week to find out.
Yeah. Well, I know what it is because I've been talking to Ben about it on the on our little WhatsApp thing.
What do you want to say? What it is?
Well, I think we're going to be offering another adventure from Space Precinct Revisited.
Yes.
Yeah, which I put together, gosh, must be 3 or 4 years ago now.
Yes, it's a lovely thing. So there you go. Free Space Precinct next week.
Yeah, great. Now, Jamie, here's a question for you. What, out of all the exciting stuff that's happening that you can talk about in the Gerry Anderson universe, would your dad have been most excited about?
Oh, gosh.
Yeah. Would it have been,
I don't know.
Scalextric Fab 1? Would it have been audiobooks and audio adventures?
I mean, so when Dad met with Nick Briggs for an interview way back in 2005, I think.
Oh, yeah.
Or 4, maybe.
Yeah.
They talked about Anderson audiobooks and Thunderbirds audio drama in particular, and Dad was very keen for that to happen. So I think he'd be very happy that was happening.
Yeah.
And that, Thunderbirds versus the Hood and Fire and Fury are out.
Yeah.
People are enjoying them, so that's really lovely.
Yeah.
I think he would have been most annoyed by the documentary.
Yeah, of course. Well, that wouldn't have happened, would it?
No, it wouldn't have happened during his lifetime. Although he would have loved the deep fake element, that is for sure.
Sure, yes.
He would have really appreciated that.
Yeah.
I think having all of the shows on ITVX and BritBox would have pleased him as well. That stuff was so accessible, although not broadcast.
Yeah.
I think he was quite excited by what might happen with streaming and where streaming might go. So to have all of them on a main streaming platform.
That's right.
So yeah, lots of stuff, and also lots of things that I can't talk about that I think he'd be quite pleased about as well.
Well, exactly. That's right. Great. Now I'm going to head on over to Twitter. If you're on Twitter, you can hashtag us Gerry Anderson Podcast, as many people have. River Sam has tweeted to say, hello, let me ask you a question about Space Precinct.
Oh, yes.
I wonder if the police in that series is the same as WGPC in Captain Scarlet or not, because both series are close in era. I'd be happy if you could answer this question on the Gerry Anderson Podcast.
Gosh, I'm not sure I can answer that question. I don't think that we can put Scarlet and Space Precinct in the same universe. They feel quite disconnected.
That's right.
I mean, you can imagine it however you like. That's part of the beauty of these things. In the same way that some people will place Thunderbirds in 2026 and others in 2065, and some will pay close attention to all the TV21 comics and the shared continuity there, and others will say, well, no, I'm not interested in that. That's not for me.
Yeah, fair enough. That's right.
You can enjoy it and sort of create your own Anderson story world in your mind however you see fit.
Yeah, you see, there's a case to be made. I mean, I could say that actually it is set in the same universe. Space Precinct and Captain Scarlet are set in the same universe, just a long way away from each other.
Yes, of course.
That's okay, isn't it?
Yes, well, I mean, it'd have to be, wouldn't they? But, do Brogan and Haldane have some underlying awareness of the Spectrum organisation?
Yeah.
Did they go to school or university with Adam Svensson, Captain Blue? I don't know.
There's an idea for a book. Anyway, Gary Hodgkinson tweeted, Mondays wouldn't be Mondays without the Gerry Anderson Podcast. This week's interview, David May, there was a good one, and as usual, all the usual gubbins. Cheers, Fab Trio. Stuart added, never missed an episode, which is nice to hear.
Cool,
Peter
really?
Jones, Peter Jones says there was no competition to Gerry Anderson's shows as far as I was concerned. It wasn't just the superior look. The storylines were intelligent and often featured new, real jeopardy. John Delaney on the death of Beano artist David Sutherland that was announced recently. As a giver of fun to my 1960s childhood, he was up there with the Beatles and Gerry Anderson. R.I.P. David Sutherland.
Yeah,
interesting, isn't
very
it?
sad, but lovely to be, put into a camp of such important people that were so influential.
That's right. Scott Salmon says, I cannot tell you, reader, how my inner childhood geek is so happy right now. I have an original picture of Scott Tracy signed by Gerry Anderson and Shane Rimmer. Posted a picture. That's nice. Tashi McTashface.
Right.
Tweeted, using an image, show me the film or TV show that scared the out of you as a kid. And James Elliker tweeted, I'm 42, and this still makes the hair stand up on my neck. And he posted a picture of Zelda from Terrorhawks.
Aw, of course. Good old Zelda.
There does seem to be a bit of a Space Precinct flavour in the air at the moment, interesting
Does
enough.
there?
Well,
Just because you're loitering awkwardly.
No, people have mentioned it in their emails and so on.
I see, yeah.
And Fiona Moore is watching it so you don't have to over on Twitter. And she tweeted, "Buckle up, this week's Space Precinct rewatch features a plot by the sinister alien O'Meara to take over Demeter City using ... golden retrievers."
Ah, yes, with those slightly awkward animatronic dogs.
That's it. And that's actually, says Fiona Moore, the most credible plot element. She goes on in her review. High points include learning that on Demeter City, rather than working up a sketch of a suspect from witness statements, they just get a Tarn to scan the witness's memory and print off a picture, which is sort of cool.
It is. There were some lovely touches in Space Precinct.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. If you were to take all 24 episodes and take out all the best bits and ideas and put them all together, you've probably got 8 good episodes.
Oh, high praise indeed.
Yeah.
High
But
praise.
really good episodes,
Yes, yeah. Absolutely top notch. Brilliant.
There you go for now. But do tag us on Twitter and I'll read out your tweets next time.
Amazing. Well, there you go. Let's hope for a Space Precinct randomizer, eh? Because that would just top things up. But we don't know. It's random.
It's random, so we don't know.
The randomizer himself, Chris Dale, has been waiting patiently in the wings, and now he's ready to randomly deliver us a random Gerry Anderson episode from a random series using the randomizer. So let's keep our fingers crossed for something good. Over to you, Chris Dale.
I've just realised why it's called the randomizer.
It was on the planet Convo where my old enemy Torchy was finally put on trial. They say he sang an annoying song as his list of evil crimes was read and sentence passed. Then he made his last, and I thought somewhat curious request. He demanded that I, Chris Dale, allow him to press the button on the randomizer. It was a request I would never have granted.
Oh dear.
So, I smashed him to pieces with a shovel.
Right, come here, you one.
Naughty boy!
Take that and that! Why won't you leave me alone, you little pest?
And locked his remains safely away for a journey to the edge of a black sun, where I was going to chuck them in, of course, because even in death I couldn't trust him.
There, that should do it.
I called out your name.
In all my travels through space and time, and nearing the end of my 7th eagle, I was finally beginning to realise that I don't have a clue what I'm doing. Ah, thank you, Marina, you've brought the tea. What's that? What, no tea? You what? You saw an amorphous silver blob slithering out of the cargo hold where we're storing Torchy's remains, heading towards the cockpit? Oh, well, I'm sure it's nothing. Whoa, oh, all right. Oh, we seem to have changed course. Better get up there, see what's going on. Right, you take the co-pilot seat, Marina. I'm going to see if I can bring us to a stop. What's that? Timing malfunction? But we don't... Computer?
Torchy the battery boy is going to fly to Topsy-Turvy Land in his rocket.
Oh, no.
So do hurry up and join him there.
No.
Torchy is landing his rocket on Topsy-Turvy Land.
This can't be how it ends.
Topsy-Turvy Land is a wonderful place.
Stop this.
The houses are made of fruit.
Please.
And there's a banana bridge and a lollipop field.
Stop!
Come on, everyone. Hurry up and join
Torchy. He's waiting.
Torchy! Torchy!
Right, I'm sorry, but I truly believe that someone is starting to play a most sick practical joke on me at this point. This is episode 2 of Torchy. Have we really not done this one yet? Really? It feels like I've been stuck in the introductory arc of Torchy for like half my life at this point, which I suppose I probably have. Yes, there's the title, Topsy-Turvy Land. This is a series that has more chapters than The Lord of the Rings, for goodness sake. Anywho, yes, we're back at the beginnings of Torchy.
Here is Mr. Bumbledrop's garden.
It's a place of evil and sin.
Ain't it? And one day he made some kites.
Ah, yes, this is the recap of the events of episode 1.
And sent them up in...
Previously on Torchy.
And came and blew away the kites, the toys, and Mr. Bumbledrop's little dog.
And all his hopes and dreams. Oh. Okay, they're showing a bit of the recap there of Mr. Bumbledrop speaking, but because we can't hear his voice, he's just sort of mouthing to himself. Oh dear. Oh no, there's Torchy.
Had a magic beam, and it shone into the sky and found that all the lost toys and Pom-Pom had landed on a twinkling star.
As incredible as that sounds. We all remember this, don't we? Yes. Those of you who were there indeed for the last live podcast recording will recall this in great detail. How Bumbledrop built a space rocket in his garden overnight.
I do hope I reach the twinkling star soon.
In addition to creating sentient, intelligent toy life with Torchy himself. But here we go, we are landing on Topsy-Turvy Land, the twinkling star for the first time.
Star. There was no one to be seen at all.
It was a dead world.
And looked around.
And it was probably best that it stayed that way.
Pom-Pom and all the lost toys are. I'll never find them in the dark. I think I'll have a sleep and try to find them in the morning.
It's not like I've got something mounted on my head that could help me see in the dark. If only I wish. Perhaps I could have been named after such an instrument.
Oh, there she is.
How nice to see you. Who are you?
What are you? Oh yes, this would be the first time Torchy is meeting any of our lovely talking animals and toys.
Topsy-Turvy Land, where everything is topsy-turvy.
And my favourite character, Pom-Pom the Poodle, and her multitude of strings.
Turvy Land? What's it like?
Oh, it's wonderful.
Oh, if you like that sort of thing. Again, those pyramids in the background that I was asking about last time we did Torchy.
Notice board.
Oh. Notice, this is Topsy-Turvy Land, the land where you can do whatever you want.
Where you can do whatever you want.
By law, on pain of death. That doesn't quite fit with the sort of, do what you want ethos of Topsy-Turvy Land. As soon as you land, there's a great big sign in your face saying, do whatever you want or else.
I love chocolate sauce.
When we get back to Earth, I'll ask Mr. Bumbledrop to make you some as a special treat.
Chocolate is poisonous for dogs, but don't worry about that.
It isn't good for dogs. That's why I'm going to stay up here.
Oh, right, okay. She realises that, does she? That's clever.
Mean you never want to come back?
You don't want to live on Earth with me and the weird old man?
You see, a naughty girl called Bossy Boots won't let the children play in Mr. Bumbledrop's garden until he gives them back their lost toy.
My God, she really has that much power? Her word is law?
I'm not going back.
Oh, she's sitting sitting on her back legs and she's got her front legs up. That's quite sweet.
Please tell me where they are.
I'd love to meet them.
What? You'll never find them now.
Oh, yes, I will. I'll press the switch on my jacket and ask my magic beam to help me.
Some of Torchy's strings are tangled there.
Torchy's magic beam made a noise just like a blue bottle on the window pane.
There's that comparison again. She must have been really proud of that.
Brighter, and pointed straight at the toys running through a lollipop field.
Oh, yes. Ragdoll and Pillywig the Clown. Oh, Ragdoll is down. And we got a nice close-up of her bottom.
Wait for me!
No! Run! Save yourself!
Oh, yes. Flopsy the Ragdoll, yes.
Hello, Flopsy. I'm so glad I found you. Go away!
Yes, well done, Flopsy. That is the standard response to any encounter with Torchy. First you just say, go away.
But when I talk, I sometimes forget my words. So I say pickle-pockle ones instead.
It's supposed to be endearing, but really it's just irritating.
But why do you keep forgetting what you're going to say? Because my head is nearly empty.
Oh.
Yes, I belong to Bossy Boots, and she never looked after me properly.
Oh.
Most of my stuffing has fallen out, and that's why I always fall down.
Like so.
If you had a needle and cotton, I could sew you up.
If I had a needle, I could gouge your eyes out. I mean, sew you up, yes.
Maybe he can help us.
Oh.
Torchy.
Oh, right, yeah, there he is, okay.
Needle and cotton to sew up my biggle-boggle.
Hello, by the way.
A needle and cotton won't be enough. You'll need...
Not with your biggle-boggle.
That's going to be very hard to find. Have you got any, Pillywig?
I'm a clown toy that's just come to life, by the way. I'm not really concerned with needles and cotton just yet. What even is that?
Have to flop down again.
Okay.
I do hope
Because it was so good the first time.
something soft and woolly to stuff inside me.
Oh.
If you want something soft and woolly, I know who might be able to help you.
Oh, yes, this will set up
Pom-Pom?
the ongoing conflict between Pom-Pom and Flopsy. People keep expecting Pom-Pom to have chunks ripped out of her and stuffed inside Flopsy.
Like to cut off some of your curls.
And Pom-Pom doesn't have much to start with.
No, no, no! Ruff! Leave my curls alone!
Yeah.
Naughty dog she is. Never mind. I'll try and manage.
Oh, you're a very brave Piggle-Poggle.
When we lived on Earth, we couldn't walk or talk. And the children who owned us never let us have a ride on the seesaw or the swings.
No, but up here we can play in our own garden and have as much fun as we like. Why? We've even got our own topsy-turvy song.
Oh, no, don't sing it. Don't sing it, that's fine.
In top
Oh, God.
of the land.
I surrender, especially with this shot of Flopsy. She's on a swing and she's swinging to and fro, but you can see straight up her skirt.
One says that you...
Oh, God. Yes, cut away, please. Cut away.
Where I sing chocolate snow.
Where you sing Chocolate Snow. Oh, okay.
Go to school and no one ever says no. Oh no, oh no, no one ever says no.
Oh, I think plenty of people say no, as in, God, no, please make it stop. No, no, no.
Everything's front to back.
So?
There's no such thing as punishments. And
you can commit all kinds of sin.
In topsy-turvy land, you can do whatever you please.
Okay, Pillywig is, pushing...
You can drink them for hours.
He's pushing down on a plant and it's spurting out water.
Topsy-turvy land.
The wonders of Topsy-Turvy Land, the sheer possibilities and imagination. Like hanging around in trees, which is what they're doing now.
All you do is have fun, and all you do is have fun.
Well, that's the idea. We're not very good at it.
Again, I kind of like how they tried to be a bit creative with some of what's going on during the songs. I mean, it's hard to describe there, but they had a shot there of Pillywig standing on his head with the camera upside down, and then he eventually fell. Then they turned the camera over and he fell back into shot. That's quite clever.
Song I've ever heard.
Ish.
But now, I feel so tired that I think I'd like to go to sleep.
For the second time this episode, I'm not really very good at my job.
Until you've put my curlers in.
Oh, goodness. I'd forgotten all about them.
It's such a pivotal part of the story. There's so much going on this week.
Flopsy should put your curlers in.
Why not?
You wouldn't let her use some of your curls for stuffing. Right to have straight...
Yes, don't have your hair curled because you didn't give up parts of your body. How dare you?
Please put in my curlers, Flopsy. Please, please.
Poor Pom-Pom.
No, I won't. I'm going to listen to Torchy. If you won't help me, then I won't help you. Now,
remember, this is a land where anybody can do what they want, but you can't do what you want.
Sad Pom-Pom, come on! Laugh at me! Aren't I funny?
I'm desperate for attention, Pom-Pom. Please laugh at me.
A bit funny.
Well, you are! Yeah, you do look a sight!
Aww. Pot, kettle, black?
It's not my fault.
No.
Of course it is. If you gave Flopsy some of your hair, I'm sure she'd put your curlers in.
Is this really the main issue of the episode? Blackmailing this poor dog.
Of course!
Oh, now they've taken the scissors to her and they're pulling the fur as they cut it.
Kept on cutting until he had a pile of white wool.
And Pom-Pom's tears were as music to his ears.
The Torchy, and he can stuff it into Flopsy.
Speaking of stuffing things, I think Pom-Pom's gonna...
Oh, you're tickling me.
Oh, no. Torchy is, stuffing Flopsy. Yeah, I think Pom-Pom was gonna make off with those scissors and get up to some mischief. Oh, yes, that's a dog with a murderous look in its eyes.
I think I'll make her put my curlers in now.
Yes, Flopsy is completely vacant-faced at the growling dog heading towards her.
Flopsy seems. Come on, Ragdoll. You can stand up now. I do feel fine. My head is nearly as empty as it was.
Oh, she fell over
You
again.
flopped down again.
Well.
I suppose it's because I haven't got quite enough stuffing inside me.
Right, I'll hold Pom Pom down. How many of her limbs do you want?
Time. I only fall down some of the time.
Okay, good. Yes.
All right, Pom Pom.
You can see why they had to have this episode really establishing this world of Topsy-Turvy-Land and all its... Pom Pom's got all her colours in.
And in the morning, when I brush and comb you, you'll be a pickle-poggle poodle again.
Whether you like it or not.
Pom Pom, I've never seen a poodle with colours before.
Wait till you see me in the morning. I'll be beautiful.
I'm sure you will. Now, let's go to sleep, and when we wake up, we can have lots of fun on Topsy-Turvy-Land.
Well, I've seen episode 3, and I think episode 4, and multiple other episodes, so I would have to dispute that claim, Torchy. But anyway, that was episode 2 of Torchy, Topsy-Turvy-Land, and
Blue eyes.
what can you really say about that? It's a vital link between episode 1 and episode 3. Episode 3 was the first one we ever did on the Randomiser, I think, the one that introduced Squish.
The little battery boy.
I don't feel that did much of a good job setting up the world of Topsy-Turvy-Land, quite frankly. I think if I were watching this show back in 1960, I would feel a bit cheated that you have, supposedly, this world where anyone can do anything they want to do and all they do is bicker about cutting fur off the dog. Because you can do that here. Well, there's another one done. Another cockroach stamped out under the heel of the Randomiser. I have no idea how many more of these we've got to do, but yeah, they'll just keep coming. Again, like cockroaches. There'll be an episode 0 next week.
Poor Chris. Torchy, the battery boy.
Yeah,
well,
he loves it, though. He loves it all.
Does he? Not by the sound of that Randomiser, but there we go. We've got to have some Torchy because there's so much of it. That's the problem.
Well, that's right. That's true. He's got to poke his little head in somewhere.
Exactly. But eventually, Torchy or Chris?
Torchy.
Okay, very good. Well, Chris does that too. But yes, it's going to crop up from time to time. Sorry about that, but I hope you enjoyed Chris's torture anyway.
Yes, torture.
Torture, yes, nice.
You see?
Nice, yeah, okay,
yeah.
Very, very, very good, nice. Is there anything else you'd like to add before we wrap up this podcast?
No, we've done the news, we've done FAB Facts, we have the second part of your interview with David Mather, we've had the Randomiser with Chris Dale, we've had emails, we've had Facebook posts and Twitterings from our wonderful podstrons. I think that's job done, isn't it?
Thank goodness. Now, I know we said that we wouldn't mention it again.
Oh, you're not going to mention it again?
So I'm not going to mention it again, the woeful percentage of reviewers.
Let's not mention that.
If Podstrons, you'd like to, bump up that 0.2% figure of those who've left a review, we'd love it. Anyway, moving swiftly on. Go on.
Well, let's leave it. I'll tell you in a minute after the,
Okay, fine. All right. Very good. Well, thanks for joining us, Podstrons. We'll be back with you next week for 242.
Of course we will.
And until then, have a lovely, lovely week and enjoy baking your Anderson-themed pies. We can't wait to see them.
Yeah, we'll see them and we'll see you next week. Bye.
Good pie.
Stage 1 complete.
Let's go.
Spectrum is green.
So go on, what was your little secret thing?
Of course, you've let the cat out of the bag, really, haven't you?
Have I?
Well, our wonderful listeners
Yes.
will be able to take that 0.23 figure.
Yes.
And work out.
No, they can't because
how many unique listeners we've had to the podcast.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
I suppose they could do. Well, that's all right. I don't mind the cat coming out of the bag about that because it's a lot of people.
It is. That's true. Yeah.
It's many, many, many people, in fact.
Indeed.
So, I wouldn't worry too much about that. It's fine. I mean, we've had, I think, in total across the full run of the podcast, over 1 million downloads.
1 million?
1 million!
Whoa!
Which is pretty incredible, isn't it?
Yeah, it's great. Yeah, brilliant.
You know, because we're pretty niche. We're pretty niche.
Well, you speak for yourself.
Mr. Space Precinct. Yeah, nothing niche about that at all.
No, not at all. No. Yeah, well, that's pretty good. I like that.
Yeah, it's lovely, and we're on a mission now to spread the gospel, and it's especially when we get emails like that one from our 14-year-old.
Yeah, it's lovely, isn't it?
Was that Matthew? Was it? I think.
Yeah, that's it.
I don't want to forget names and be an idiot.
No. I was scrolling back now because I want to be absolutely sure.
Yeah,
I think it was Daniel. It was Daniel.
So sorry, Daniel.
That's it. Yeah,
it's too many things to remember in the podcast.
Yeah.
But yes, Daniel, thank you, because those things I think really inspire us to go the extra mile and spread the gospel, Anderson, as much as we can. So
indeed.
Yeah,
there you go.
Fine. All right. Well, should we go away now?
I think we ought
we've
to.
let the cat out the bag and given all the numbers away, and and spoiled everything as usual.
Now we've mentioned him, quite a few times in the podcast. Do you think Daniel might leave a nice review?
I would love to see that. I'll be keeping an eye out, and if it's not there, then there probably won't be hell to pay.
No, of course not. No.
Okay. Well, thanks in advance, Daniel.
All right. Bye.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.
You have been listening to the Gerry Anderson Podcast. Wasn't it fun?
You have been listening to an Anderson Entertainment production.